fans, welcome to the inaugural YouTube sports podcast called Weesesports. My name is Lukas Weese, founder of Weesesports, here to provide you with analysis, insight, and opinions on some of the hot button topics in the world of sports. The reason why I created Weesports was simple. There currently is a void of sports podcasts published and delivered by young people. While we religiously follow the top TV personalities and podcasts on the networks such as ESPN or TSN, there needs to be an avenue where millennial sports fans like myself can come together to debate and discuss a variety of sports topics. And this is where Weesports comes in. This is just the beginning. While I have done Facebook live streams this past week for Weesports, I hope to utilize this YouTube channel to engage and carry on the sports conversation beyond the ice, court, diamond, field, or pitch. So if you are into sports and want to hear young people debate and discuss sports topics, please subscribe to this channel, Weesports. If you want to become a guest on this show, please send me a message via YouTube or Facebook, and I would be happy to have you on. Let's make Weesports a household podcast name and give young people the necessary voice to express their analysis and opinions on a variety of sports issues. So let's get started, my friends, with my first YouTube sports podcast, here to provide you with a preview of the conference championship games in the National Football League, which will take place this Sunday. There are 2 games on tap. We're at the final 4 of the National Football League season. In the NFC Championship, we have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And in the AFC Championship, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the New England Patriots. So let's start with the first game and the NFC Championship game between the Packers and the Falcons. These 2 teams met earlier this season, with the Falcons winning a tight one, 33-32, off a game-winning TD by Matt Ryan down the stretch. But both of these teams are red hot coming into the playoffs, with Aaron Rodgers since saying he would run the table. The Packers have rolled off 8 consecutive wins, including a thriller last week against the Dallas Cowboys off the remarkable pass by Rodgers to tight end Jared Cook and the 2 56-yard and 51-yard field goals respectively made by Mason Crosby. Matt Ryan comes into this game on a hot streak of his own, including a win over the Seattle Seahawks last week due to their prolific offense. Now, the Packers finished 21st in points allowed, while Atlanta finished 27th in points allowed, so expect this game to be incredibly high scoring. The Packers score 24.2 points per game, while Atlanta averages 25.4 points per game. So I could clearly see this matchup going into the 30s and even the 40s with these 2 prolific offenses. So let's start with the Atlanta Falcons. They scored 71 more points than any other team in the NFL this season. Matt Ryan had a 117.1 passer rating that not only led the NFL, but was the 5th best in NFL history. He threw for 4,944 yards with 38 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He topped 100 in passer rating in 12 of 16 regular season games, then did it again against Seattle in the divisional round. Now, as I said, the Falcons are entering this game on a 5-game winning streak of their own, with Ryan having 14 TD passes and 0 interceptions during this 5-game streak. Now let's go to the other side and Aaron Rodgers for the Green Bay Packers, who has been nothing but remarkable and phenomenal at the quarterback position. And during this winning streak, Rodgers has posted an 117.9 passer rating with 298 yards per game, 68.9% accuracy, and 21 touchdowns and 1 interception. And for the season, Rodgers is throwing for 4,428 yards with 40 TDs and 7 interceptions, putting him in the conversation with Matt Ryan for MVP of this football season. But beyond these two quarterbacks, what are some other keys to this game? And I think we have to look at the wide receivers and their health status. For the Atlanta Falcons, their top wide receiver and arguably the best in all of football, Julio Jones, is not going to be 100% because he suffered a turf toe injury. So this could be an important matchup for the Green Bay secondary to see if they can take advantage of him not getting into open space that easily. And for the Green Bay Packers, I highly doubt that Jordy Nelson will be playing this week because of a fractured rib. And there's also question about Devontae Adams' health this week after suffering an injury last week against the Dallas Cowboys. Another key matchup and a key factor of this game are the defenses. Given these two prolific offensive teams, which defense is going to step up and not let the quarterbacks steal the show? Maybe we'll see a few turnovers from a defense. Maybe we'll see Vic Beasley of the Atlanta Falcons with a ferocious pass rush on Aaron Rodgers to disrupt him in the pocket. Or on the Packers, maybe we'll see Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews make Matt Ryan feel uncomfortable in the pocket and force some turnovers. So I really think that while we talk about an offensive game, which it will be, we're going to see a lot of points be put on the board. I think down the stretch, who can make that key sack, who can make that key stop in making a team go on and win the game. Let's look at the Packers defense a little bit more, especially against the run. They're 6th on the run defense this season, giving up an average of 94.7 yards per game. Now, last week against Ezekiel Elliott, he ran over for 100 yards, and we started to see some holes in that run defense. And they're going to really need to tighten up the run defense, the Green Bay Packers, because they're facing a stout offensive line in the Atlanta Falcons and a really great running attack led by Devonta Freeman. And of course, that offensive line was rated 1st in the NFL in run blocking, and the Falcons finished 5th with 120.5 rushing yards per game. So obviously, if for the Packers defense, if you want to make the Falcons offense one-dimensional, you're going to need to stop Devonta Freeman and stop that run and plug the box if the Packers are going to have success on the run defense. Now, if we look at the Packers secondary, this is another point of concern for the Green Bay Packers. And Ladarius Gunter, their top cornerback, got completely roasted last week against Cowboys wide receiver Dez Bryant, who got 9 catches for 132 yards and 2 TDs. Now, when the Packers and the Falcons met earlier in the season, Ladarius Gunter was actually charged with the responsibility of being on Julio Jones. And he did a good job of that because the Packer defense did a lot of zone and they rolled everything towards covering Julio Jones. And Gunter was great at providing pressure on Jones and being physical at the line of scrimmage with a safety over the top. And furthermore, Jones in that game only had 3 catches for 31 yards. But given the recent injuries to safety Morgan Burnett, who left the game with an injury, it looks like you're going to have Gunter and HaHa Clinton Dix covering Jones, while Micah Hyde and Randall doing one-on-one matchups with Atlanta wide receivers Taylor Gabriel and Mohamed Sanu. So I really think that this is going to be a big matchup in this game because obviously these Atlanta Falcons wide receivers can get into open space. We saw the Cowboys getting into open space towards the latter part of that game last week against the Packers. And if Julio Jones, I don't care the turf toe or not, if he gets into open space, he can make some incredible catches and get some big yards. So that's going to could be proven to be costly for the Green Bay Packers. Let's look at some X factors in this game. For the Green Bay Packers, I like Jared Cook, the tight end. His size and athleticism at the tight end position provides another option for Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball to beyond Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, and Ty Montgomery. And Cook has a big enough physical frame to ward off smaller defenders in the Atlanta secondary and enough speed to burn through those linebackers and get into open space, particularly on those slant routes and post routes. And during this winning streak, Cook caught 35 passes for 475 yards and 2 touchdowns. And in his last 2 outings, he's hauled in 11 receptions for 151 yards and a score, including setting up Mason Crosby with the game-winning field goal after a remarkable catch and a remarkable pass by the great Aaron Rodgers. So clearly Rodgers thinking that Jared Cook is now his new target, and I think he's going to be really emerging as a real threat for the Green Bay Packer offense going forward in this game. For the Atlanta Falcons, I think an X factor is safety Keanu Neal, who I think will be tasked with the responsibility of putting pressure and covering Jared Cook so he does not get into open space for big plays. And I've really been impressed with Keanu Neal and his ability to recognize offensive schemes, particularly in stopping the run, which will be critical for the Atlanta defense to do if they want to force the Green Bay Packers into being a one-dimensional offense. So, my prediction for this game, it's a really tough one to predict. I think both teams have prolific offenses. They can make plays on both sides of the ball. But I am going to roll with the Green Bay Packers to win this game in the upset because I just think that Aaron Rodgers is playing at such a high level right now. His ability to scramble out of the pocket, roll out to his left or right to extend plays, and his receiving core, I think are going to outduel and outplay Matt Ryan down the stretch. And I also think that the Green Bay defense will come up with a key turnover late or a key sack by either Julius Peppers or Clay Matthews that will seal the deal and allow the Green Bay Packers to win this game. So I think it's going to go into the 30s. I think it's either going to be 38-35 or 42-38. And you could see Mason Crosby again in his heroics with a game-winning field goal. So I like the Packers to beat the Falcons. You can catch that game 3:05 Eastern Time on Sunday, January 22nd. That is the NFC Championship game between the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons. Let me move on now to the AFC Championship game, which is the second game of the day on Sunday between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. Now, these two teams met earlier this season. Ben Roethlisberger did not play in that game due to a knee injury, but the Patriots won that game 27-16. Now the Steelers are healthy. They have all their top guns on offense. Ben Roethlisberger, LeVeon Bell, Antonio Brown. So this should be another exciting game and another exciting quarterback duel between Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady. But let's start with Tom Brady for just a moment, because if he were to pick a favorite team to face, it would be the Pittsburgh Steelers, because Brady has blazed the Steelers for most of his career, including the 2004 AFC title game in Pittsburgh. Brady is 9-2 all time against the Steelers with 26 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He has just been phenomenal against the Steelers, and I think history will be on his side this week again. But let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and particularly their anchor on their offense, which is running back LeVeon Bell. Last Sunday night against the Kansas City Chiefs, LeVeon Bell had 30 carries for 170 yards. In this season, with the 12 regular season games that he played, he rushed for 1,268 yards and has clearly become the centerpiece of Todd Haley's offense. I don't think there's a better back in the league than Bell, with bursting through holes and his just ability to accelerate and great vision to find those holes that the offensive line provides him. And he's so hard to bring down, so it's going to have to allow for a couple, 2 to 3 Patriots defenders to tackle LeVeon Bell and bring this guy down, because he's so strong and he's so speedy as a running back. But obviously, the Steelers, if they want to win this game, they're going to need LeVeon Bell to run effectively. They're going to need him to run for over 100 yards in order to have any chance to generate offense and to set up Ben Roethlisberger and the pass. Now, another key to this game is the Steelers in the red zone, because in the game against Kansas City last week, Pittsburgh made 5 red zone visits without scoring a touchdown. And on 11 snaps inside the 20, they picked up a net of only 5 yards, allowing both their only turnover and sack of the game. LeVeon Bell had only 3 carries for 10 yards, and Roethlisberger completed only 1 pass for 1 yard and threw an interception. So it is clear that the Steelers need to get all the points they can get in the red zone, particularly touchdowns, because they are facing a New England Patriots defensive squad ranked 3rd in the NFL in points scored and 1st in points allowed. So that is going to be critical for the Steelers to really develop a force and develop an identity in that red zone to get touchdowns and not just settle for field goals. Another key for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game is going to be their defense in putting pressure on Tom Brady. In the Patriots game against Houston last week, facing off against a stout 3-4 Texans defensive front, Brady's passer rating for the game was under 70, and he threw as many interceptions against Houston as he did in every game in 2016 that came before it. And New England needed 3 touchdowns from running back Dion Lewis, 1 rushing, receiving, and on a return to advance to the AFC Championship. So clearly Brady has to improve this week, which I think he will. But that's a telling stat, because I think if the Steeler defense can really put some pressure, I think they can really make a difference in making Tom Brady uncomfortable, because Pittsburgh defense has been built for years around blitzing the quarterback. But blitzing Brady is a double-edged sword, because he's as good as any player in the NFL at recognizing the hole in the coverage a blitz creates. So when you go after Brady aggressively up the middle, you open up opportunities for short passes to Dion Lewis, whether it's a shovel pass or a screen, or deep balls to receivers in single coverage for big plays like to Julian Edelman. So I know that the Steelers, if they're going to have to win this game, they're going to have to take some gambles. They're going to need to be strategic. Do you do it on 1st down, or preferably do you do it on 3rd down and long to really make Tom Brady uncomfortable in that scenario? And I also think that the Patriots are going to be running the ball this week. I think that they really established a running game last week against the Texans, and the Steeler run defense, while it has improved, it's still ranked 16th in the NFL. They average about giving up 100 yards per game, which is not good enough, especially with the Patriots running attack, which is often used and established to set up Tom Brady and the play action pass. Let's now look at the other side in the Patriots defense. And is there ever a better coach in the National Football League than Bill Belichick for taking away and finding a scheme to take away and imposing offense's best player? There isn't. Now, this creates a dilemma, because the Steelers have 2 prolific offensive threats, running back LeVeon Bell and Antonio Brown. So I really expect the Patriots defense to crowd the box and force the Steelers and Big Ben Roethlisberger to beat them passing the football. Patriots will play a lot of cover 1 or cover 3 on early downs, I expect, to ensure that they have the Steelers outnumbered in the running game. But unfortunately for the Patriots, the Steelers' offensive line and Bell's unbelievable patience as a runner, combined with his vision and acceleration, make him successful even when outnumbered. So it's going to be a fantastic matchup to see how this Patriots defense can stop the run and force Ben Roethlisberger to win the Steelers the football game by passing the football. Let's look at some X factors for both teams. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to say it's the linebacker James Harrison, who's going to be a future Hall of Famer and is known for heroics in the playoffs. He leads the Steeler defense in sacks, and while in old age, he still remains a physical force that needs to be at his best if he's going to lead that pass rush and make Tom Brady uncomfortable. He's going to need to get at least 2 to 3 sacks in this game, make Tom Brady uncomfortable in the pocket, perhaps force some passes and force some turnovers by the Patriots. On the other side, an X factor for New England, I'm going to say is their top linebacker, Dante Hightower. He had 65 tackles this year, and along with Trey Flowers, I think will be incredibly critical in stopping LeVeon Bell from going over 100 yards and turning this Steeler offense into a one-dimensional offense led by Big Ben Roethlisberger. So I like X factors to be 2 defensive players on either team because obviously for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got to pressure Tom Brady. For the New England Patriots, you got to stop that anchor and that centerpiece of the Steelers offense, LeVeon Bell. Okay, prediction time. Again, a very difficult game to predict. I'm going to provide a side note that I think will help in my prediction here. So at home, Big Ben completed over 70% of his passes with a plus 15 touchdown to interception ratio and a passer rating of 116.7. Away from Heinz Field, however, Roethlisberger's completion percentage dropped by over 10%. His touchdown to interception ratio was a so-so +1, and his passer rating free fell by almost 40 points. So clearly Big Ben is not the same player on the road than he is at home. And with that being said, I like the New England Patriots to advance in this one. I think that Tom Brady will have a bounce-back game. His ability to prepare, his ability to audible at the line of scrimmage and make plays to his wide receivers, including Julian Edelman, he will definitely improve in this game. And I just think that while the Steelers will make it close, I still think that LeVeon Bell will have a big game. I just don't think that Big Ben can win this game with the type of defense that he is facing in the New England Patriots, which is getting better and better by the week. So I like the New England Patriots to advance in this game. It will be tight. I'm going to say 27-20 Patriots. So that does it for me for this segment of Weese Sports. I predict a Packers-Patriots Super Bowl. If you want to get in on the action, please comment on this video below your predictions for the upcoming conference championship games, which will take place on Sunday. Glad you enjoyed this segment. My name is Lukas Weese, and I will see you back on Monday with another segment of Weese Sports. Thank you for watching Weese Sports.